Alright, so we're back once again, and today we're going to be playing none other than the Großer Kurfürst, the GK, the Tier 10 German battleship. I've been grinding the German BB line for probably quite a while. Well, definitely quite a while. And to get to this ship, I've been struggling so goddamn hard. For the most part, I think I free XP'd from the FDG, the Verdiente Große. Now, that being said, towards the end, when I was just getting roughly up to enough XP to get the Großer Kurfürst, I started to strangely enjoy playing the Verdiente Große. I don't know if it's like a little bit of sadism or something, but it turned out being able to rush in and just, use the fact that the German guns aren't actually all that bad at close range, and using the ship's tankiness tended to be a lot more fun than playing a lot of other lines and just, sitting back looking for the great opportunity. It meant you didn't have to think all that much. And now, to an extent, I'm taking those bad habits per se and transferring them onto the Großer Kurfürst, which isn't always a good thing. Now, that being said, the Großer Kurfürst, much like the Verdiente Große, is very tanky. But again, bad habits for other ship lines, obviously, and something you don't want to actually learn too well. That being said, this ship still has the 406 and the 420mm guns, same as the FDG. Now, one thing I will want to point out is that although this is no Yamato, you're not going to have monster shells, there is a nice thing attached to this, and it's the fact that with the 406 guns, you get a relatively quick cooldown. I know with the FDG, it's around about 20 seconds. I don't know what it is with the Großer Kurfürst, but you can just watch the screen, and as soon as I shoot, you'll be able to see the cooldown. Because I am running 406mm guns here. But the one nice point about these guns is that A, you get the nice cooldown, and B, is the fact that you can citadel cruisers, especially ships like the Smolensk, incredibly easily. Now, that being said, the accuracy on these guns obviously isn't great, so you'll get one citadel, but the chances of another shell actually hitting the enemy ship are pretty low, pretty incredibly low. That being said, that is two very nice characteristics of these ships that you wouldn't really expect. Generally, these are brawling ships, so you're not going to be using them to actually snipe people at 20 kilometers. At the same time, you want a little bit of accuracy, and I think at close range, maybe 14 kilometers or less, maybe 12 or less, the guns actually perform pretty well. And then when you combine that with the tanky, brawly nature of these ships, they fit a particular player, and they play that role really well. They're not going to be the best fit for any battleship player, but, no battleship's the best, the best fit for any kind of player. That being said, we do end up with 35k damage so far. We take down the enemy GK. Now you'll see at this point in the map my hydros just run out, and there's a mystery Shimakaze capping A at this point. So that's the one thing I am actually really worried about. And you'll notice in this game that a lot of my moves are dictated by where the DDs could be, and that's something really important you need to keep in mind, especially when you're playing a battleship that's as unmaneuverable as this thing is. This turns like an Arctic lorry. It's like, oh my god, it's like a cruise liner, the way it turns. Unless cruise liners actually turn pretty quickly. They can actually rotate on the point. Anyways, it turns really slowly. That's the main point I'm trying to get across. So keep that in mind when you're actually making pushes. Always be aware of the enemy or DDs and where they could be. Because more often than not, you're going to get caught out really badly unless you have your hydro ready to go 90% of the time. Now, I know the Shimakaze's on my right hand side, so for some reason I'm turning right here, or turning left, because I thought I could get a shot on the Zhao. Turns out that wasn't to be real, and if I was going to get a shot on the Zhao, I'd be exposing myself to the Yamato, which wouldn't be anywhere near a good idea. And plus that, I'm exposing myself to the Shimakaze torps, which is also a really bad idea. But I luckily decide to turn back into the right. We see the Zhao torp going wide, and we also see There it is, the Shimakaze torps. This is to be expected generally. You know, with a HP pool as high as yours, like 105, 106,000 HP, it's almost guaranteed you're going to be focused. Either to set fires, or just a homing magnet for torpedoes. Actually, I played a couple games before this game. I think this is like my third game on the GK. I love calling it the GK. But the first couple of games, whenever I would pop up and get detected, I have a detection range of about 15 kilometers. It would instantly be fires, mostly 2, 3, 4 fires, and to put on top of that, you'd be a magnet for torpedoes too. As you can see here, I take a pot shot at the Smolensk, and this is just speaking to the power of these 406mm guns. Look at that. 3 pens, 13k damage. Boom, pop. And this is one of the strengths of the ship, is that you can actually push on and you can take on these little cruisers that are just annoying little bugs. Ships like the Minotaur, the Smolensk, stuff like that, where battleships would have a hard time penetrating them. Now that being said, we do have 4 ships over in this flank. There is only 1 Shimakaze and 1 Kleber left on this flank. But again, obviously you can't completely escape the overpens. We do get 4 in the Zhao right there. But again, most of the time my movement is dictated by the Shimakaze. We haven't spotted them yet, so that's why I'm turning right here, because you know the last known location was when I seen those torps coming from the right hand side of the cap. So again, I'm turning out here just in case I need to. I've got my hydro popped just in case I need to turn immediately. And we do manage to get another pop on the Zhao. And again, just more justification for running these guns. You do get a bit more alpha damage with the 420mm, but it's not worth it because you do have an increased reload time, and it's just not worth it in my point. I think the overall DPM is very similar, and for me, I prefer to have a more robust rate of fire than I do a little bit more alpha damage, especially because of the fact that these guns aren't actually all that accurate. So having more chances to actually hit targets versus having more damage when they do hit is a very easy trade-off to have, and probably the best trade-off in this situation. That being said, at this point now, we spot the Shimakaze, we see the Kleber going to come around that island again. If he gets too close, my secondaries are going to open up. Probably one of the strongest points of this ship. I go for really a tank build on this ship, but again, you can go for a full secondary build. I think for this build, my secondaries don't kick into about 8.5 kilometers, so keep that in mind. And again, when you go full tank, you're not going to be relying on your secondaries all that much, even though they are extremely strong on this ship. You can probably see I got 34 ribbons already. That's just from one duel with the GK. But yeah, but keep in mind, you kind of have to spec for that, especially. As you see, again, this is kind of 18.4 kilometers. You're probably looking at the maximum range of this ship. Really, realistically, you probably need to be a little bit shorter. We do manage to get a citadel again, but I think that's more of a happy accident than skill right there. But I'll take it. We're up to about 94,000 damage right now. And at this point, we're still unsure about where the Shimakaze was, but by judging on this last known location, I'm trying to put myself in the best position to be able to dodge these torpedoes if they come at me. Plus, I'm trying to actually get a cap so we can actually equal out these points, which are hugely favourable in the enemy team. For the enemy team, sorry. You know, at the same time, you see I'm a little bit sandwiched. I've got the Shimakaze to the north, the Kleber obviously to the south, and our carrier doesn't seem to be doing the best job of actually dealing with the Kleber. So again, that's another struggle. The biggest worry I have generally is eating too many torps. You can see the Shimakaze smoke to the left, which is always helpful. Now we know that, so I'm going to turn to the right. Also due to the fact that, well, carriers exist in the game, and so as a result, if you pair these things together, a very unmaneuverable ship and a carrier that can torpedo several times in a row, well, you're going to get this result. I go from about, I think I was at 50k there maybe a little bit less, and down to 40k roughly here right now, and we get another hit, We get a flooding, we were down to 27k. Now at this point, I know pretty much the game's up. I'm looking for fighter support, but it just came a little bit too late. The Clavier does get spotted. But at this point, he's out of my secondary range, I can't really do much about it that way. My turret diverse, although it is pretty decent on this ship, I will say that much for it. Again, it's not comparable to a cruiser, let's be honest here. And generally, if the ship was more maneuverable, I'd be able to swing the turrets around pretty quickly and get a shot on. I do manage to get the front two turrets on, but again, just when RNG has been going in our favour all game, it decides to betray us. We don't get the damage on the Clavier, and it probably wouldn't have been enough to kill him or bring him down anyways. You get the fire burning for 19 more seconds, and as a result, we get dropped. So I think this was like my third game in the GK. It's actually a really fun ship. If you kind of just want to turn off your brain for a little bit and just rush in and just have fun, it's incredibly good, relaxing battleship for that sole purpose. Now it does have its strengths too at the same time. Good secondaries, really tanky, really high HP pull, so it does forgive you for, you know, if you make a major mistake like turning full broadside to a Yamato. And, you know, the guns aren't all that inaccurate, you know, as long as you keep it close range. And if you're pushing in, generally most ships will be close range, so there definitely is a playstyle for the ship. I'm definitely enjoying my first couple of games in it, and until next time, I'll see you in the next one.